Hello,
Good.
everybody, and this is the Top Brothers podcast with Top Arpad and.
Saboton. Hi.
Okay, so what do we do?
Probably just talk and chat. This is the first episode, so
Hanging around.
just hanging around, having fun. How was your week so far? I saw that you posted another podcast, and I know it's an interesting guy, so probably just start. Let's start with that.
Should we start the podcast by talking about different podcasts?
Yes.
Just to get into it.
Get into it. Yes.
So I posted this podcast episode with Sam Powie, who is a British guy. He's a WSET professor, and yeah, it was very interesting conversation. We talked about many different topics, mainly about WSET, but also about the project that he started, which is very interesting. He started this a trading journey, which we already heard about in many other places. So the basic idea is not unique in itself. So he started to trade a very low value thing for other things in an increasing value order. So this thing has already existed, but he's started this with wine, which makes it a lot more interesting and different, because this way every single trade is not just a simple object as it is in like other concepts where they are trading like a pen for a paper and for headphones. But here every single wine has a story, so very interesting. The wine has a story in the wine industry, the winery itself. But as it gets into more and more interesting and more valuable wines, the holder of the wine has a story. Okay, I got this wine for our wedding 40 years ago, or I was at an auction in Hong Kong, or things like this. So the story is getting increasingly more interesting along with the value of the wines. So he started to do this trading game, and he already made 11 trades. He started with like a $5 very simple cheap wine. Actually, it was Yellowtail Shiraz from Australia, and now he is at around 1,500 pounds value. So actually, now it is not even one bottle for one bottle, because the value of the trade is so high that sometimes he gets like 3 bottles for one bottle. It increases. Right now he has 3 bottles of Lodovico from Italy. And yeah, I was just thinking about this yesterday, that when he gets close to the Romane Conti, which is around $25,000, what are going to be the trades before that? All wine trends, or what? Or it could be that he gets close and the previous bottles are already maybe some Burgundy wines, maybe even from the same domain, because Domaine de la Romane Conti has other wine regions, other labels like Latache, which are still very expensive, thousands of dollars, even some bottles above $10,000, but not at the Romane Conti level. So maybe it is going to be 2 Lataches or something. But it would be funny if someone would trade a huge wine collection, like 1,000 bottles, because it could be possible, because yeah. So yeah, that was the podcast. Really enjoyed it. Did you have the time to watch it, or not yet?
Not yet. I'm sorry, but I couldn't really get to it so far. But I'm really interested about it. So it's definitely on my watch list as your other podcast episodes, as always.
Never feel pressure. I even feel a little bit, how should I frame this? I feel bad when people feel pressure to watch my. Maybe I still have this imposter syndrome or something, but I always feel that the content that I have produced, or the podcast, even though I enjoyed it and the guest was wonderful, I still feel that I'm not sure if it's worth the time of the viewer, which is probably very stupid thing. But still, especially for my friends and family, I do not want to pressure them to sit. Especially the previous episode was almost 3 hours. So it's
Oh,
quite a huge, huge investment to expect everybody to sit down and watch my thing for
still, I don't think that you should feel like this, because when you put in the time and effort to create something, then it's going to have value, and it's no question that your podcasts have value. So yeah,
I'm not. Yes,
I'm not sure from what direction
I'm
we could
not.
approach this idea, because
I see what you're saying, that it has value. I'm not saying that it's worthless. That's why I'm doing it, because I believe in it and I think that it is going to be good. But the sentence that you said, that if you have invested time in it, we should assume that it has value. No, I'm not sure about it. If I invested time and good ideas and the proper thinking behind it, then it can have value. It's not direct conclusion. If someone, there are lots of things that required lots of time invested and did not came out very good.
oh yeah, yeah. I think I'm trying to say that if you've put in so much work, then then there shouldn't be an imposter feeling. The work that you put in makes it authentic, and it makes it real. So once you created something that's authentic and real, then you are actually in the position to assume that this is your role. So there isn't an imposter thing going on.
Yeah, but putting in work is also, I think, a little bit subjective. What definition of enough work that was invested in this thing? Because I can feel that, and I know that I invested some time in it, but who says that this was the right amount? Maybe I'm just half assing it, and I should have invested like 10 times more.
Okay. Okay.
So it's not really objective. I really,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, feelings aren't objectives. It's kind of interesting that first we were trying to deal with it in this way, that okay, what's the reason for this? But since it's a feeling, we can't really. In some
But
cases, we can.
on the other hand, I think for podcasts, as we do it now, and as we talked about my previous podcast episode with Sam, I think the real work is not during the podcast or the afterworks or the edits. The work has been done beforehand. It's the preparation. It's your knowledge that you have already earned through the
Yes.
years. Because podcast is like a very spontaneous thing. Like here, we don't really have a script. We have ideas, and we are just using our brain and discussing and trying to solve an issue, which is the fruit of our previous knowledge, the thing, our relationship. We know each other, our thoughts. We have some background, some history, some things that we have things to talk about, and now this is just fruit, or
Probably putting in the work in the question of the podcast could be: did you invest the time to develop your character and to make yourself intelligent and knowledgeable, so that when you get to the point that you can have a podcast, it's going to be interesting? Maybe that could be the criteria. Did you invest time in yourself and your education, or not? And if the answer is yes, and in your case it's obviously yes, then I think that you've put in the
yeah.
work.
The logic makes sense, but I think this framing makes it even more. It creates even more pressure. But yeah, I'm not sure if I developed my
Well,
character enough yet, but I am on on the path, and I'm trying my best. So and also I think we should also frame this in a way that you shouldn't expect yourself to be perfect when starting something. So okay to start a podcast and make it try your best, but obviously it's not going to be perfect at the beginning for nobody. You can develop your character for 50 years and start a podcast, and it is going to be bad because you won't understand maybe lighting, or you won't understand what the audience expect, or you won't understand how to handle your voice to be enjoyable. So there are lots of things which you can only learn when you start it. Do it, two episodes, then you get feedback. Look at this was bad, improve this, and so on and so forth. So try your best, but do not expect it to be perfect.
And I think that this idea kind of, how do you say it, accompanied us from like many years ago when we actually started to pay attention to how we conduct our lives in a more like planned out way. So when we started with Jordan Peterson's book,
more professional way.
first year
professionally.
First year architecture student, just professional life on the spot. Yes. No, I'm referring to the time when we started to read Jordan Peterson, and we started to watch his presentations and interviews, and we kind of started this journey of developing ourselves, improving ourselves, and just paying attention to how things are going on in our life, and what could be improved. And this idea that we aren't at the highest and the most perfect version of ourselves, and we can improve constantly. This is kind of ingrained in us by now, I think. I don't know if.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm not sure if we started this self-improvement journey with Jordan Peterson. I'm thinking, how did it start? Or what is the real root of it? Because obviously it was a big part. I actually have the Jordan Peterson poster behind me. I can show it here. So I'm not saying that he wasn't a huge inspiration, and still is, especially the biblical series. But I think we have started this even earlier and in different ways. For example, I have a very interesting memory. One of the first books that I have read out of school, so just for myself, was the how to...
I know, Dale Carnegie.
By Dale Carnegie, which was actually our grandmother's book, and she read it, and inside the book there was lots of highlights, notes, and everything, which was very surprising to me, and it totally made sense, because from the stories and from our memories, she was a very, very social person, a huge social engineer, friend groups, everything, everybody loved her. So it was very interesting to see that actually it wasn't just, it was her personality, obviously, but she knew this, and there was like planning and improvement and strategy. So that was very interesting. So that was one of the first books, first content that I have consumed, that was about improving some characters of yours. And I also think that it's not just the content and people that we have followed through the years, but it comes, I think, from our family value as well. Maybe not in a similar or the same way as it is now, very popular in social media, the self-improvement movement, but just the fact that you should always be as useful as possible, and work is extremely important in our family on both sides. So I think it started here, and then we were just lucky to find some people and some books and some things that already were fitting into the picture and just helped us to understand and improve some things.
Mm-hmm. So probably there was like an unconscious predisposition towards this way of living, and then.
But what is the way of living? I'm thinking, what is the What are we talking about now? Define this.
Correct. Well, I think the most characteristic part of our lives is that we are conscious of what we do daily and how it affects us in the long run, and that we are trying to make decisions based on the present and the vision of the future. So we know what we have now. We know where we want to get to, and we make decisions based on this. And
Yeah.
actually, it's kind of similar to teleology. Not sure if you've heard about it. There's a philosophical thinking that states that everything has its purpose in life, everything has its end goal, and the things that happen to them are directly linked to this. And there's a deterministic path to everything. So, for example, the end goal of a cup like this is to be used and filled up with coffee. So everything that happens to this cup, from the moment of it being dug out from the ground as clay and then created into a mug and then covered with glass in a factory and then sold, and everything is leading the cup to fulfilling its end goal. So I think that unconsciously we incorporated this way of thinking to see the end goal of our existence, and then deriving everything that happens towards the present. And then we see the past as well, and we see our ancestors, and we see our parents, and what happened in history, and use that knowledge to create the path towards the future.
Exactly. I think this is a very important point that you made, that we always have the long-term ideas in place, which is very important. And I see that lots of people around me are lacking this idea, which is, I don't know what is the reason, but for me, all the time when I make decisions, like even the smallest decisions in my life, when I plan my day, I always think in structures, and I imagine, for some reason, maybe this is a little bit silly, but for every single decision that I make, I always imagine doing this every single day, doing this regularly. Would it be good? Would it be a desirable path, a desirable habit, or no? And if the answer is no, I don't feel the logic behind it. Why to do it? Which, in theory, this sounds good, but in real life, it can generate some weird thoughts in my mind. So there are obviously things that are just one-time things, and you do it and just go with your life on. But for me, this is very hard to do these spontaneous one-time things, because in the back of my mind, I always think that, okay, am I going to do this regular or no? So for if there is a very far friend or acquaintance that he invites me for a beer or something, and obviously I like the person, maybe we are not so close, but it would be okay to spend an hour together. But in the back of my mind, I have this idea that, okay, in my life, am I going to spend with this guy every Friday a night, and are we going to develop a friendship that is going to be helping our lives or being a nice part, or no? And sometimes the answer is no. Sign such invitations and opportunities, which I'm not saying that this is the right path, but this is the side effect of this very strict long-term thinking. Is this going to be helpful for the world or no?
I feel the same way. In every situation where there's a possibility to do something fun or just relax, as people say, I kind of feel bad at the beginning that, okay, I could be working now, I could be, yes, as I should. I kind of have the feeling that, okay, I'm wasting time. I'm not progressing towards my ideal. I'm not doing what God has ordered me to do, to put it in a Christian framework. And afterwards, I forget this a bit, and then I can enjoy the situation. But in the beginning, I have a very weird and bad gut feeling that, okay, I shouldn't be in this place. I shouldn't be doing this. It's not correct. So probably this could be a con to the ideas and to the way that we think. But the question is this a good sacrifice to have these thoughts? Is it worth it or not? But right now, I think that it's completely worth it. So even though we have we have difficulty enjoying spontaneous and relaxing activities at the beginning, in the general picture, I think it's worthwhile, because these kind of activities don't happen regularly. They're just a one-time thing, or once in a month, or in 2 weeks, or something like that. So we can find the balance between the two.
Exactly. I also think that it is definitely useful. We just have to learn to manage it. And now I had an idea while you were explaining that when there is a situation to have fun. I think our problem, or maybe the problem of many people, is defining the categories, because I think this is the bad framework, that this is the time to have fun. What is fun? Why do we have these things separately? I think it should be ingrained. Sometimes as we do our work, a creative process, we get into the flow, feeling that is fun. When we spend time with our family and traveling, maybe as we did last week in Barcelona, it is fun. That is the deepest fun, the best fun. But it is not like organized in a way that, okay, now this is a waste of time for having fun, just for recharging. I think that all the, in quotes, fun activities in our life should be integrated things. If you live your life correctly and do the things that you have the opportunity and you have to do, then you are going to find fun moments. So it shouldn't be planned or defined that, okay, now Friday night I should have fun. No, you should have fun every single day of the week. I'm not saying that all the time you should have fun, obviously, but as you go through your life and do the things and do the correct things, then you are going to feel fun as well. And one more important point that I think we should clarify when we are thinking about useful and long-term things, it is not just work. So we are not saying that you should just work 24/7. We are thinking about these things that require time, that are important. So spend with our family, going to church, or in our framework are useful things. So just to clarify that we are not saying that you should work 24/7.
Yes. And one thing that I have a few things that I would like to add. The one thing that you didn't say, and I was waiting for you to say it, but now I have the chance to say it, is that the point of life isn't happiness, it's the byproduct. The byproduct of life is happiness. And if you live your life correctly, you get to be happy. So the same thing could be applied, I think, with fun activities. That it's not that, okay, I want to do a fun activity, but rather I want to spend my time in a way that it's going to be fun. So probably the perspective should be changed a bit when we think about these kinds of activities. For example, going out with our friends, or just meeting with someone who we didn't met for a long time. And this is one thing. And what did I want to say? I want to add, turning back to the time when we started to watch and read Jordan Peterson, that for me, I think the most important part in this journey was the fact that you showed the way. You showed an example that okay, it's okay. We live like we live our life in the way that we live so far, but there is an opportunity to get better and be better. And when you started reading Jordan Peterson, I kind of felt that okay, I should do this. So you were a very good example. And whenever I try to approach these things, and whenever I asked you about something, you were actually offering an explanation, and you were helping me. So for me, probably you were the first person that helped me in this self-improvement journey.
Wow.
So
Thank you. Yes, this comes back to the previous idea that we should fulfill our responsibilities. This is not, so obviously I'm not saying that this was like a problem for me or a task. I obviously love you, and I do this. This is a fun for me, but also this is my responsibility as the older brother. I always felt this, like this positive responsibility that, okay, I have to take care of this boy and show him everything and teach him everything and train him and help him to be as strong and powerful and smart as possible. And yeah. And you also did this for me, so it's not like one way. I'm the big old guy. I learned a lot from you, and we are always improving each other, so it's going great.
I kind of got the thought that, okay, but how could I reciprocate this thing? That because every time I think about what I'm doing and how I'm doing my things, I always remember that, okay, you were the one that showed me how to do these things, and you were the one that guided me towards the sources that basically enabled me to think in this way. And now I got the thought that, okay, but how did I reciprocate it? How could I reciprocate it? And maybe we could just look at this from a larger perspective, so it could be more at hand for our listeners. How can you assume the responsibility of the older brother, and how can you reciprocate this responsibility and this caring from the perspective of the younger brother? And how does the age difference affect this? Because between us there's like 8 years, and
Yeah.
in this frame there's obviously like, I don't know, hierarchy or something. That's not the best word for to describe it, but there's a predisposition for the older to care for the younger. But in the case where there was like 2 years or 3 years, like we see in our friend group, there isn't such a strong such a like highlighted difference.
Yeah.
How can you assume the responsibility of the older brother? How can you reciprocate from the point of the younger brother? And maybe we could ask, why is this important as well?
Okay, so I have quite a few interesting points. One of them is, I think, the most important one. As you started, you said that how can you offer extra points of view or extra advice when you assumed that a lot of things that your ideas come from me or from the things that I showed you. I think here we come back again to Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson's one of the rules is to listen to the people that you are talking to, assuming that he knows something that you don't. And I always applied this rule even before I knew the rule, because obviously 8 years is quite a long time, but I think it's not like a huge difference. We still went to school. Both of us were school kids. So it wasn't like an extreme difference. And we had our impulses in life. And in a lot of points, in lots of moments. It's just the different perspective that helps. So when we were discussing ideas, it's not just logical and facts and things that we have learned. It's thinking as we do it right now. We are not regurgitating some books, but we are thinking to solve something. And in these situations, we always had these brainstormings. That's why we had this idea to start a podcast. As we were brainstorming for our whole life up to this point, the different perspectives and points of views helped both of us to form the ideas. And I think a lot of ideas that we consider, I consider it to come from you, or you consider an idea that it comes from me. It was created by the both of us. We were thinking and attacking each other with arguments, and then a revelation arrived, which was, maybe it came from the one of our mouths, but it was created by the collusion of ideas. One point, and another point is that even though if we are in many ways very similar and consume similar content, I think it is distorted, this idea that we consume everything, the same things. When I really think about it, I think maybe more than 50% of the things that you have read, watched, or consumed are different. But the things that are the same, so obvious, that create this distortion, this illusion of having the same background. But all the things, you read a lot more literature than I did. Obviously, architecture, lots of things. I also read lots of things that are different, not in the common realm. So I think we have quite a huge library of things and ideas that are different that we can use to offer perspectives and ideas.
Well, actually, if I think about it, it's obviously and completely true. You finished the horticulture university. You finished law university as well. You have such a huge lexical and technical knowledge in these domains, and I know basically nothing about them. So the fact that there is
quite a few things. Do you remember that time when I was very sick at the bed? I had a huge fever and I couldn't talk to anybody. Everything was annoying me. It was a very, very bad time. And this very clever idea that you ask me questions that you know that I'm going to get passionate about. And I was just laying in the bed with a huge fever. And after like 2 hours, I noticed that I'm having a huge lecture explaining to you law history, Roman law, and law philosophy. And I was like, what the heck? Why are you interested in these things? And you were just like sitting like this, smiling. And I just got better because I got into the flow state. You asked very interesting, very important questions, so you were investing like real energy and thoughts into this conversation, and I was explaining one interesting point. The other interesting point is that you did not just use this as a way to help me and to have a fun conversation, but you were really paying attention and learning. And after a few days or weeks, I was saying something and you said some very, very specific, very interesting legal comparison that came from that lecture, which was very, very funny. So that was a great story.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it actually.
Okay.
And I think that this kinds of interactions are like the base of our relationship and our brotherhood.
Curiosity.
Curiosity, yes. Curiosity and caring. But turning back to the question, how can you assume these roles, and how can you have a good brotherhood, a good brotherly relationship?
Yeah, that's the question of the year, the $1 million question. In my whole life, I was thinking about this a lot, I I hate to say this, and I do not approve this concept. I'm just going to use the word as to help the people understand. I felt that we have had a lot of luck. Our relationship is extremely good. So let me clarify. It's not luck. I do not believe in luck. It was lots of different different things that helped us. Maybe genetics, which is we cannot really choose, but our family relationships, the concepts that our family was applying, our further family, the Christian belief. So there were lots of impulses that helped us to have this relationship. That's why I'm always trying to be very careful when maybe giving advice or talking with people about brotherhood. That some things are very hard to change. So approach this question very carefully because lots of different family situations. Not everybody is so lucky as we are to have this so perfectly work out from the beginning, because it's not. Lots of people are lots of brotherhoods or siblings get better relationships when they are older, but for some reason our relationship straight from the beginning we're born it perfect. I always enjoyed your company. I loved it when you were a baby. You were the cutest baby. Every stage of our lives was very very fun, and I enjoyed your company. So it wasn't a hard thing. So that's why I don't really feel that I am, even though our relationship is good, I don't really feel that I'm in the position to explain to a person how to do it, because it was quite natural. So maybe our parents would be in a better position to explain
Yeah.
this, because their of socializing us and teaching us was always perfect. I think this idea, which I think a lot of people know, but for some reason can't really apply it perfectly, to always have the siblings as equal and not to create situations uh, when they are against each other or have to compete with each other in a bad way. Obviously, we compete with each other. We do push up and pull up and always competing, which is a healthy thing because that's how we can help each other improve. But we never had like we never became enemies.
So it's basically situational, and
Um, yeah, I
or
think
I'm not
there
sure
must
what.
be. I'm not. There are no objective things that you should do. Obviously, probably there are, but I'm not. I couldn't figure it out yet. What are the steps or the rules that one could apply to have better sibling relationship? I think the main idea that everybody should improve, and the world is going in a very bad direction, is the loss of the importance of family. That's the main point. For us, it was never a question that the most important thing besides our beliefs, the most important thing is our family. No other thing is more important. This is the thing that we live for. And obviously, above that, if we can take care of our families, we have other responsibilities in society. But the family was always number one. We have this symbol that we should elaborate, the family cart, which is like this metaphor that our family, especially our father, uses for every thing, activity, some special work ideas he has for us, is pushing the family cart forward. And this metaphor is so ingrained in us so deeply that that we always come back to this with everyone in our life, that this activity pushing the family cart forward or no. So I think our sibling relationship is based, and it is like understood in this framework, that we had this very strong family community.
I'm just thankful that I'm in this position. I'm, or how do you say it? I'm grateful for the way that my life is.
Yeah, we should be definitely, and I think this is also our responsibility to try to understand these maybe privileges that we have, and these things that we did correctly in our relationship, and try to help others in the ways that we can. Obviously, you can't really change everything, but if there are a few ideas that others can implement, that would help. And the idea that this having this situation is so good, so helpful, because I think lots of people even miss the idea that this would be desirable. This is extremely desirable. Having a sibling, a brother that is like so like the best friend in your most important is like invaluable, the best thing ever. So this is the main idea that people should think about, that this is the one of the main goals.
And actually consider it as a possibility, because I think
Yeah.
many times it's just okay, we are brothers, but that's it. Only the blood connects us, nothing else. And since they don't put importance on the familial relationship, it doesn't really evolve. So
Yeah.
just that, okay, there's another way to have this kind of relationship, and another way to conduct ourselves in this situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it might be different for when the siblings are different sexes. So sure how uh, a girl boy relationship can be similar to ours. I'm not saying that it cannot be a strong relationship. Obviously, it can, but I think the dynamic must be
Yeah.
different. But we do not have experience with that, so
Yeah.
can't really. But still, I don't have experience with this. But the question still is in my mind, because as we are getting older and are going to have families, actually, I'm expecting my first child, and I would like to have as many children as possible. And in this context, it is very probable that my children are going to be different sexes, boys and girls and everything. And how should I be the parent to facilitate the situation to have very strong siblingship, siblings,
Sibling
sibling community?
community. That's a good question. I think that just trying to trying to discover what the dynamic differences are. So between brothers, there is one dynamic, and like between us, and then between sisters, and between male child and a female child, there's another dynamic.
Even a different one if there is an older sister and smaller brother, or older brother, smaller sister. So I think there are like 4 phenotypes.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
So
maybe
just
this is infinite, because it depends on the combination. Maybe there are 2 older brothers. So
But probably there is like a basic ground rule to these dynamics, an archetype, probably. And then we can just take that and play with that form and disvolt. I don't know if that's a word. Like invent a new way and try to progress with that.
yeah, I think this all comes back to the first principles, the values, and if you got those right, the technical details are going to resolve themselves probably. But obviously, it's good to have ideas about that as well. Coming
Yes.
back to our young brotherhood, I had this idea actually in the last few weeks. I had this memory that came back to me multiple times. Very interesting memory, and I was trying to solve it. How did this happen? And it's very interesting that this memory makes me a little bit emotional. Is one of my few regrets in life. This is a side topic. We could also talk about this one day, but for some, maybe I'm a psychopath reason, I have very few regrets in life. I only regret things when I've hurt some people. But for myself, when I made mistakes, I do not regret those at all, because I have this framework that all those mistakes or things that I did, maybe wrong things, uh, served a thing, and there were lessons. But there are a few things that I did that I regret, and there is a very funny memory in our childhood. So as we explained, we always had very good relationship, and we were hanging out a lot. But there was a occurring situation when we were playing outside around the church garden, and you were like just 3 or 4 years old, and we were around 10, 11, 12 with the friend group. And this idea, so the framework was that because you were so young and you were with us, it was quite limiting for us what we could do. So we couldn't go to the forest to go bike because we had to take care of you or look after you. We couldn't do some other things. And this idea came not from me, so it's not an excuse. It really didn't come from me, but to run away from you and just lose you there and away, and then we could do other things. And I have this memory ingrained in my mind. We did this multiple times. That after, when the friend group was a little bit over it, that we have to take care of you, and you were always slower and everything, and we just ran away. And in my mind, this is ingrained that you are crying there, and we just we abandoned. You had to walk home, and multiple times, and this is a great regret of my life. And I'm always trying to solve this. That why did we? I mean, yeah, I understand why did we do it, but like. I was too weak to engineer the situation way that this would not happen. Or if we would have been more patient, we could have just explained to you that we want to go to the forest or want to climb up the tree or something, and just take you back home and go. But I was in a situation that I would even feel bad to do that, because I felt that I would enjoy everything better if you would be there. So in my mind, in one place, I didn't want to not have you there, but in a way, I felt this pressure from the friend group that this is like prohibiting us from doing something. So this was, sorry for this. I don't know if we talked about this, but this is a very strong memory in my mind.
It's okay. I don't even remember it.
Okay, perfect.
You told now, and this is a new memory for me. For some reason,
is it a new
I
memory?
Don't know.
You don't remember it at all? The memory just came back to you now.
If you haven't had told me that this happened, it wouldn't have ever come to my mind. Now that you tell me, I have like a picture of, I don't know, me standing in the street and then you guys running away. But this could be because as you told me, my mind creates an image to portray the situation. So I don't know if it's
so you don't have a PTSD because of that?
No, not at all.
PTSD.
But okay. I don't know why, but my memory is sometimes really good. I remember things that like in a lot of detail, and then other things just forget it. Like, for example, I don't really remember what happened in middle school. I have a few like moments, but much less than like the people that I talk to. I ask somebody, okay, how was your middle school years? Everyone tells a lot of stories off. This guy did this, and then we did this, and everybody has a lot of stories, but I just whoosh. The same thing applies to high school as well. I have a few stories, I have a few memories, but for some reason it just goes by.
Interesting. I don't know what is the reason. Maybe the positive explanation would be that you have so much things going on in your life right now that, and all the time, exponentially bigger and more interesting things that your brain is like just selecting, or I don't know, or your memory is bad, which I sometimes I feel. So this may be a genetical thing because lots of things I forget like very fast.
School, but primary school as well. School in general. I
Did you already forget that three years before times?
actually yes, I don't really remember the topics that we had at the BAC exam. So everybody in university is just talking about, okay, what did you get? How was it? And I just look around like this, like, mhm. Okay, that actually happened. Like we had the BAC exam. Okay.
Maybe because these things were not the primary focus of our lives. I have the same for school. I don't really have a lot of detailed memories about school itself. I have more like memories from the friend group and from the crazy things that we did, but not really focused on the school because yeah, we were not the best students, so we didn't focus solely on the school, but we always had different projects, to put it mildly. So that might be the case. Yes, pushing the cart of the family by breaking the windows of the school. At that point, I'm not sure if I was really pushing the cart. I was pushing the limits, but it's okay. It was great. That was the time of fun. Yeah, if coming back to the previous idea to solely have fun, it's the role of the children. Children should have fun, like full force. So yeah. Okay, let's close the interview, the podcast in a loop, and let's ask the question. At the beginning, we were talking about imposter syndrome and the fact that I don't really expect my friends and family to watch the podcast episodes and invest their time in watching for hours. Whom do we expect to watch this one, and who is going to watch it? First question, and second question, in positive, maybe wishful thinking. Let's imagine that after like a few years, after hundreds of episodes, maybe we find some people that are enjoying these kinds of conversations and they go back and watch all the previous episodes and they are going to be here in the comments as our new uh, friends, like extended friends and followers, and it is going to be very meta.
This might sound a bit
I already know.
I, probably no, probably not. But I think I would say that people who are interested in listening to interesting conversations should watch this episode and should stay tuned for the next one. Hopefully, we can get on a habit to have these podcasts weekly.
Fully, but forcefully.
Yeah, definitely.
You are lagging a little bit.
Probably. So just to end it, before my internet goes away, uh,
Mhm.
I think it's not like it's addressed to anyone specifically. It's an intrinsic thing. The point of the podcast isn't to create something that is addressed to someone, but rather to conversate and have this interaction between us, and to just show the world that we are brothers, and these are our interactions. This is how we talk, how we are, and
So it's not a show. So it's a show, but a public discourse that anyone can just come to.
yes, and as we have observed so far in our friend group and in our other interactions when we were together, and I don't know, we went to some place and there were strangers and they joined our company. It was an enjoyable thing to have this interaction.
Yeah.
So I would say that this is a public discourse, and we invite our viewers to join in somehow in comments or
In the comments,
or-
yeah.
So,
Great,
yeah.
great. I think this is a great idea, great opportunity, even for us to cut out a portion of our time to discuss more deeply and to focus a little bit more. This framework helps us a little bit, I think, to go deeper, because we do meetings every single day. We discuss the daily updates and the smaller things of our lives, but sometimes in the fast pacing schedules, we don't really have the opportunity to go deep and discuss ideas. But this framework, I think, helps us in this way. So even if there are going to be 2 viewers of this thing, you and me, it is still fruitful.
Thing is that it's well known that people structure their ideas while talking to other people. So in
Yeah.
our case, it's again a very important thing to structure our ideas and get to a higher understanding of things. And since this is how we developed, I think that this is going to be very, very beneficial for us. And also, right now, it was in this podcast, we kind of look back at our childhood and to how it was. But I'm sure that in the next episodes, it's not going to be such a biographical, but rather we are going to a lot of other topics as well. I'm not saying that it's not
Yeah,
interesting,
yeah.
because it's very fun, and I like to have these rememberings of how it was, and how beautiful it is, and how grateful I could be for these things. But for other people, it might be easier to connect to some more general topics, not shallow things, but more general things.
Yeah, and more ideas.
Yeah, yeah. And this as well, that when we talk about those topics, we learn and we get new ideas.
Exactly. Okay, so
Close it right now. For the next episode, I'm going to fix these problems, and we'll be back with some other interesting things. Stay tuned, and thank you for
thanks for watching.
the next one.
Me too. And thanks for watching for the viewers, and see you in the next episode.